Today, we have the king of Akron in the house. Welcome our good friend, Steve Yoak.
You know, I'm the king of Akron now that LeBron left. We're on pace to do 200 houses this year, thanks to you guys. 2021, I quit my teaching job first day my son was born.
So just, 4 years ago?
4 years ago. They'll be this next week, 4 years ago.
So it's safe to say construction is your wheelhouse. You've got that process honed into a science.
But they know they're paying for a premium service. That's what turnkey rentals are.
Right.
It's a service-based business.
And it's true turnkey. There's a lot of guys out here that are like,
Turnkey is kind of a gray area nowadays.
Yeah, man. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Furman.
And I'm your other host, Anthony Slane.
Today, we have the king of Akron in the house. Welcome our good friend, Steve Yoak. What's up,
Thanks for
sir?
having me on.
Glad to have you on, man.
Welcome to the pod, man.
Hey, thank you. This is a sweet little layout you guys have here.
Yeah, it is.
Makes me want to upgrade my office immediately. So I think I just spent 150 grand upgrading my office mentally.
Dude, I'll say, so we've done deals together.
Yeah.
We've talked on the phone a million times. Never met face to face.
Zero.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And we've already had a lot of fun, man. Kicked
Heck
it
yeah.
off right away. You're an awesome dude. So
Thanks, man.
We're
Thanks.
super excited for this one.
When you asked me to come on, I knew there was no way I could say no. It was just hammering out a time, and a Friday afternoon makes it all the better.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Who do you think of when you hear Akron, Ohio, Anthony?
Oh, I think of Steve Yoak.
Steve Yoak?
That's the first thing that comes to
I thought he
mind.
was going to say LeBron, and I was going to hit him with I think it's Steve Yoak, but I guess
you
we're
go.
on the same page.
Some of
but-
my buddies joke that, you know, I'm the king of Akron now that LeBron left.
Yeah.
How many houses we buy. And thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys send a shit ton of deals to me. Good deals.
Yeah.
We buy them.
Yeah.
We always say too, right, is like in our business, it's about building great relationships. I mean, that's our number one priority, right? We use Investor Lift and whatnot, but anytime you can have face-to-face relationships, like that's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
Makes it easier. Because you know the deals are going to close. There's not like, you never sit there and think like, man, is Jimmy going to perform this week on the deal or
100%.
not?
Yeah,
You're like closing scheduled? Yeah, we'll get the wire.
By the way, that deal in Massillon? Was
Yeah,
it?
I
So
sold-
remember
you
the
sold
deal
me
on
that.
Auburn Ave in Massillon that he
Of
bought?
course.
So it just got appraised today.
175. And I will 100% give the credit to Nick. I did not think it was going to appraise that high. I actually think he talked me into buying the deal. There was no way I was buying the deal. He called me at least 5 times on this damn house. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do it. Dude, I don't want to do it. And then finally he's like, listen, just give me a couple grand. Just do the deal. It's going to be fine. I'm like, all right, worst case scenario, I can hold it as a rental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I bought it at a high. I've never paid that much for a house in Massillon. And of course, my rehab budget not only doubled, but then some. So what we thought the rehab was going to be was not the rehab. But we thought the value was going to be, well, what I thought the value was going to be
Yeah, a
wasn't
little
the
lower.
value.
So it worked out.
They say it's a big football town, right? Massillon.
Oh, state champions, blue collar. I love buying houses in Massillon. So I recently just did a refi of 4 houses myself in Massillon. And I put 2 more under contract to sell as well.
Awesome, man.
We're on pace to do 200 houses this year, thanks to you guys.
All right. Well,
a lot of
let's
deals.
keep the conveyor belt going, right?
100%. Got to keep running the treadmill.
So bring the people a little closer to your story. I know you mentioned we were talking upstairs. You said you were a teacher, and you got into this whole real estate thing. How did this all start to transpire?
As a kid, it kind of dawned on me like 3 or 4 days ago. I was talking to my buddy about board games, and I was like, oh, dude, I loved Monopoly as a kid. He's like, no shit, Steve. You buy houses like it's Monopoly. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this whole time Monopoly was the start of it all. I always thought it was my baseball coach that got me started, and I was like 12, 13. We were playing travel baseball, and then he had like rental properties, and I'd go help him like clean them out. And I didn't realize like the first thing I did with him is I did a set out with him. Went to like inner city Akron and did a set out at 12 with him. No idea what it really was, right? I was cleaning and moving stuff out. And that kind of like got my brain trigger like, oh, he makes money doing this. This seems pretty simple. I just buy the house and they pay me. Like, this is great. And started doing some stuff for some other friends' dads that had properties. And I was like, okay, I could see where this could be lucrative. So as soon as I was in college, I was like, hey, when I graduate, since I'm not going to make it to the NFL anymore.
But you played baseball and football?
I played baseball, football, and basketball growing up. And then high school, I just played football. And
Linebacker?
Played running back in high school. I was actually all-state, had 1,700 yards as a sophomore.
Wow, man. I would not want to be on fucking defense with Steve Yoak running at me, man.
There was no option. I was running through you. I wasn't running around you. It was me and you were going to collide about 30 times that game, and whoever won at the end.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like you won most of those battles, though.
yeah, 5 yards in a cloud of dust, and we just got back up and did it again all game.
It's awesome, man.
But yeah, so that's how I got into it, and then college, I was like, all right, looking at houses, and I'm getting ready to graduate. I'm applying to schools everywhere. I got hired in the great city of Brunswick, Ohio.
Brunswick.
Shout out to Brunswick.
Brunstucky.
Brunswick. Give us your Brunswick accent.
Shout out to Brunswick.
That's spot on. So I was like, all right, I got hired in Brunswick in June. Start looking for a duplex. No idea how cool Lakewood, Ohio was. So I went out there one time, like just partying with the guy that was my cooperating teacher when I student taught. So he took me out. He's like, hey, let's go drink. And like we went out to Lakewood. I had a blast. I'm like, I want to live here.
Yeah.
So and
that's like everyone's like just out of college spot.
For sure,
I feel
man.
like
100%.
A lot of bars, cool restaurants, pretty hip.
I lived in Birdtown. Didn't know really what Birdtown was at the time. It's the lower end of Lakewood. But
it's Lakewood.
It's Lakewood. I was there one time when I was drunk. I didn't know what Birdtown was. So I bought a duplex on Quail Street. Moved a friend into one of the rooms, charging them. Had a guy below. And
really quick, there seems to be a common theme, right? Is like a lot of people with this whole house hack thing.
House hack's huge.
I mean, it's like a lot of people start with this whole house hack.
But that's kind of is where this is going, right?
Yeah, first house is a house hack. And now with even the conventional, you can do a conventional multifamily with 5% down. You don't have to do FHA anymore.
Really?
So I did FHA.
Well, conventional's 5% down?
Yeah, on owner occupied. They changed that rule.
Wow.
About a
And
year ago.
FHA is 3?
3.5.
Yeah, so
So I saved all my money from pimping shrimp at Red Lobster in college.
wow, man.
Pimp and shrimp. I like that.
Is Red Lobster still around?
I just went to a Red Lobster.
Did you? Did you
Yes,
get
because
the biscuits, the cheddar biscuits?
Yeah,
Best hangover food.
to be honest with you, I had a subpar experience, but I don't know if you guys saw they
Well,
got a
it's
new
fucking Red
CEO.
Lobster,
They got a new CEO, and he's a young guy. And he's trying to make all these changes. So I'm like, all right, this kind of intrigues me. I haven't been to a Red Lobster since I was a kid. It used to be my favorite restaurant. So I'm like, I'm gonna go. Let's go. I took Ashley and we went, and yeah, subpar. Nothing changed yet.
You got to remember you're paying higher prices because it's seafood, but it's still like the Applebee's of seafood.
Yeah.
This guy was also at Nobu like 3 weeks ago. Now he's going to Red Lobster. Like,
Yeah, two opposite ends of the spectrum, but it makes it a little more difficult. But
anyways, sorry.
so you house hacked your first property.
First property, house hacked. Anytime I hired someone to do something, I said, hey, I'll hire you, but I got to work with you. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine what these contractors were thinking now. This 23-year-old kid be like, I got to work with you.
You had no experience.
Zero experience. My dad had no rental properties. He had no tools. He had nothing. Like everything was like duct tape and like nailed together.
But you had to work with them to save money, or because you wanted to learn?
I wanted to learn.
It's incredible.
That's incredible.
And I said, charge me full price. I'm not asking for a discount. Just teach me what you're doing. I'll do all your bullshit work.
Yeah.
But like, teach me what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So did that I built out the whole attic with people teaching me how to do stuff. So I built an extra room onto this place and got another roommate in. So I'm like cash flowing. I'm like, this is great. Bought a turnkey rental in Maple Heights. Kind of funny now I sell turnkey rentals. This place wasn't very turnkey though. The furnace was older than both of you guys for sure.
Oh, wow.
And I thought it was great because it had new cabinets and paint, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we focus on mechanicals because I didn't get screwed. They were there. I just,
Yeah.
So, but then I bought another duplex and things kind of took off from there.
Where were you getting the money to fund these initial deals?
So, I mean, with the FHA loan, I think I bought the house for $75,000. I moved into it the day I bought it. Me and my buddies slept on the floor and went out in Lakewood that night.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
Were you a teacher at the time, or is this post? So you were a teacher.
I was teaching. I was 23 years old. I bought a house.
So you're just saving up as much money you could from being a teacher.
I killed it at Red Lobster during teaching or during college. Like I worked 40 hours a week.
Okay.
And I would be the first one in on the shift, and I would take all the tables from lunch people didn't want, and people would be getting let go for the day, like cutting back servers. I'd be like, hey, I'll take that table. Hey, I'll close. Hey, I'll take that table. I just didn't care.
Just grinding.
Just grinding because like it was open until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So they close at 10, and I'd still go out with my buddies at night.
Yeah.
It was the best job, right? I was
Yeah,
home by 10:30.
for sure.
Quick shower and out at 11.
Yeah.
You know?
Out the door.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just making $150, $200 a shift. I wasn't spending that. I lived in a frat house.
Yeah.
$150 for a room. I wasn't
Yeah.
blowing that money every night. So I saved a ton of money, put the money down in the duplex, was coaching sports, using that money to renovate it. And then I was saving money because I was making money on the duplex, and I was making $36,000 teaching plus my coaching. So I was like, all right, this is great. So I saved this money. And then I bought the turnkey rental, but it was only $45,000. This was 2015.
This was in Maple, you said?
Maple Heights.
That's a deal.
That is a deal. So
That
now,
is a deal.
Like looking at it now, I don't feel so bad that the furnace went out, the hot water tank went out, and I had water in the basement eventually.
Yeah.
But like, it all worked out. I sold for way more, like whatever. But I was saving all this money because I wasn't spending it, like you know. And then I bought another duplex in Lakewood on Clifton Prado. It's like the little ghetto of Lakewood, off a beach. So once again, FHA because I refinanced the other one.
The first one was conventional, or the first one was FHA? What did you say?
I had to do FHA because it was 20% down at the time.
And then you refied it into a conventional, and then you used FHA again?
Yeah.
Nice.
But you had to live there for a year before you could move on to the next one, right?
Well, I mean, I lived there for multiple years because didn't have the capital, right? It was a slow grind.
Right, of course.
And then I got into a little partnership, learned some stuff. Partnership didn't work out, and then went off on my own and started doing the turnkey rentals, and went from doing a couple houses when I was teaching to 2021. I quit my teaching job first day my son was born.
So just what, 4 years ago?
4 years ago. There'll be this next week. 4 years ago, and I have never went back. And we're on pace to do 200 rehabs this year. And last year we did 127 flips. And I think we did 30 buy and holds.
That's
so
unbelievable, man. I mean, it's in 4 years is pretty wild.
So it's safe to say construction is your wheelhouse. You've got that process honed into a science.
I mean, I have a project manager that handles a lot of stuff now, but everything we do is systematic. It's identical, like nothing changes. My contractor that did our first flip still works for us, and very little has changed.
Same floors, same paint, same cabinets.
Everything's streamlined. That's the way to do it. It's the only way to do it if you want to scale.
There's no question. When we do a higher end flip, that's when the differences come in.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
And I suck at higher end flips. I take too long.
Got it.
But it is what it is.
So you're doing more turnkeys than flips, or what was the split again? You said?
So we did 127 flips last year. I'd say 122 of them were turnkey rentals.
Got it.
To investors that are looking for, we sell to investors that are looking for an asset that's hands off. They want to buy the property and they want to collect a check every month.
Yep.
They don't want to hear about the maintenance calls. They don't want to deal with placing a tenant. They don't want to deal with anything. They just want to have no worries, cash flow.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. Your rentals, those aren't like the 127 rentals, or those aren't personal rental properties for you. You're buying a distressed deal. You're adding value, I'd imagine, making it turnkey.
Yep.
And you're selling it to an investor.
Yep. And then my uncle runs a management company on the back end.
And you're only managing.
I only manage ones we flip.
Okay.
So if you came to me and said, "Hey, Steve, you want to manage my rentals?" There's usually a reason you're coming to me, and you're in a distressed situation because you have dilapidated houses. I will not manage your rentals. Not at all.
And you're making money on the sale, obviously. There's a profit there, but then what's your management fee? Like 8 to 10% or something?
So we do 0% the first year as long as you use one of my preferred lenders.
Wow.
So what's cool about that is we want to manage your properties. I want to make sure you have a good experience, because I always do a 30-day, like I call it a fit and finish. So if the tenant moves in within 30 days, if something happens, I take care of it.
By the way, I don't know of anyone else doing that.
No one does that.
No, but that just shows the confidence you have in your product and what you're providing, right? Because that's why I can imagine that's why you say, hey, I don't want to take on, X, Y, and Z's rental property because I didn't do that work and I don't know what the hell's going on in there.
And it's a pain in the ass to manage.
Yeah.
Because they're like busted windows, wood windows, 90-year-old furnaces, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, all of our furnaces, if they're older than 10 years, we replace them before we sell it. So, like, what issues are we like? Maybe a heat sensor, maybe a limit switch.
In hindsight, I mean, it makes so much sense. In hindsight, at one point, I was managing 60 of my own units.
How'd you feel?
I didn't feel great at all. It was horrible, and I don't own them today. I sold them. But looking back, I wish I would have put a lot more focus into the mechanicals, right? The electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all that stuff. Instead, a lot of our CapEx was focused on the stuff that looked good, the floors, the kitchen cabinets, and we ran into a lot of issues. So it sounds like you have it all figured out.
This is what I'm actually speaking on here in 2 weeks. I'm talking at a conference in St. Louis with Dustin Heiner Rubicon. He does Master Passive Incomes, his coaching class. I'm speaking on high ROI returns for investment properties. If you're doing a retail flip, your kitchens and baths are your moneymaker.
Right.
Yep.
A little bit of landscaping in the front, that makes total sense. But rentals, the mechanicals are what's going to eat your cash flow. Because if you're getting hit every other month with a hot water tank, a window, a roof leak, you're not making it.
Of course. Of course.
Are you limiting your risk exposure at all by knowing who your buyer is before you even buy the deal? Like, have you built relationships up to where it's like, hey, this buyer's gonna, he'll buy this at a, I don't even know if you're selling off cap rates or promising
Just
us
cash flows,
Yeah.
basically. I mean, so everything I do is pre-sold. I don't have any like if you called me today and said, Steve, I need a finished house to start the closing process tomorrow, I'm gonna be like, we're 2 to 3 weeks out to finishing any house we have right now. I think we have 30 or 40 houses under contract, and probably more than half of those are pre-solds.
Wow.
So as soon as I buy them, a week or two after, I'll start marketing like, hey, we have these available. We sold a lot of coaching groups, financial advisors, stuff like that. And then clients direct on akronturnkey.com will hit me up and buy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think the reason people like repeat buying as well is if you're getting a 30-day fit and finish on your maintenance, you're getting a 30-day lease out guarantee. So once we close on the property, if it's not leased out within 30 days, I'll cover your mortgage.
Wow.
Guess how many checks I wrote last year? 2.
It's pretty damn good.
That's
Right?
good. That's
so
really
I mean,
good.
so I write an $800-900 check, but it gives you that feeling like he's going to get it leased out.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've really mastered the process of being able to look at a property and say, hey, how do I set this property up so it has the least amount of maintenance as a rental property moving forward?
That's the goal.
So, the people that are listening today, maybe they want to get into rental properties. What would you advise them they look at, the big ticket items, when they're looking at, maybe they're looking on the MLS, so they're getting deals from wholesalers. What would you tell them, hey, pay close attention to these things?
I mean, I can tell you what we look at.
Yeah.
If that,
I'm sure that's what they would like to hear.
Yeah, when I look at it, I mean, everyone's a little different and might do some things. Like a lot of people are going to leave a 12-year-old furnace, but whatever. So we walk up to the house, exterior wise. If you see a 3-tab shingle, you immediately know it's at least 20 years plus old.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's got to go. You got to put a 3-dimensional shingle on.
Okay.
If there's any missing or displaced shingles or like something weird's going on, I immediately assume it's a bad install.
Okay.
That happens, right? Joe Schmo, chucking a truck, whatever,
Yep.
out there banging on nails. So those are roofs that got to go. Check the gutters out. Make sure they're taking the water away from the foundation, catching the rainwater. Windows, I always replace wood windows because they're always original.
Yeah.
Those strings are going to break.
But now, well, I guess, I don't know if it's different in Akron, but with this whole lead stuff.
100% you got to get rid of that.
Is it similar in Akron then?
Not at all.
No? Is it?
That's why I like Akron.
So they're cool with all the lead.
Dude, the lead program here in Cleveland is such a racket.
Come out to Akron.
That's
We got
what I'm
some
saying.
lead
It's a
chips for you.
It's a racket, 100%. It's like you got to pay this person to pay this person to pay this person to be okay to rent your property.
Right.
I'm like, it's
The
everyone
rental registrations.
Yeah,
And,
everyone's just trying to collect money. Like Akron has a $15 rental registration. Great.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, totally. Just register your property. Tell us it's a rental. Tell us it's vacant. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No problem.
No problem. Give me your $15.
Mm-hmm.
Deal. So once we do the windows, we look at siding. So sometimes we'll always leave the vinyl siding or paint if it's like a wood siding or scrape and paint. And then foundations. Foundations are huge, as you guys know, in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
So our rule of thumb is if it's wet, we do a full interior waterproof, kind of like in Ohio basement systems or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So jackhammer out the inside, create the French drain, put the weep holes in, polyboard all the way up the walls, sump pump it out, right?
Yep.
Because water will kill your walls. It'll kill your walls. Freeze thaw, you'll have cracks like crazy. And then if it's out of plumb more than 2 inches, we just do a full wall rebuild. We're actually in the middle of a 116 linear foot wall rebuild right now.
Oh, wow.
That's 3 of the 4 walls. Up on stilts.
Oh, my.
Right? Yeah. So it's definitely enjoyable. And then furnace, older than 10, we replace it. Hot water tank, older than 5, we replace it. Kitchen cabinets, flooring, paint, lights, bathrooms. Those are pretty standard.
Yeah.
We do rental grade stuff, tub surrounds,
where are you connecting with a lot of your buyers? Like, how'd you build up your buyers list? Do you do anything on like Bigger Pockets or?
Yeah, Bigger Pockets is always good to post stuff. We've done a lot with coaching classes. So they're looking for safe, done for you type stuff. We make those connections, just long-term relationships with those. And then financial advisors have been a good one of the people that are looking to diversify.
Yeah.
So they've put all this money into their 401k. They've done the stocks, and now they're looking for what else can I do that'll grow in appreciation and give me cash flow.
Are they any buying in cash or are they using some sort of loan product?
Yeah, so most of them are using like 90% using loan products.
Yeah.
Which is pretty standard. I mean, if you're trying to get the true value of real estate,
Right.
the equity or the debt pay down.
Of course, yeah. And to scale, right?
Yeah.
You want to do it at volume.
But I mean, it's always funny that people in California are like, So 130,000. Like, what's wrong with this house? I'm like, that's a good house. I mean, they are. It's just the nature of the beast. That's what the house cost, you know?
Yeah.
And then people are always concerned with these hood areas. And I say, listen, if I don't buy there myself and have rentals and I'm not your neighbor as a landlord, I don't flip there because I'm going to get my stuff stolen. Just like East Cleveland, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like people just don't do it. They just don't go into the rough.
Oh, I can get 50% of my money every year. All right. Yeah. Who's your tenant?
You're already coming down there claiming it.
Yeah.
Are you doing any Section 8?
Very minimal.
Why very minimal?
Well, the way I sell the product is we have an above average finish on our houses for Akron rentals, and we charge slightly below market. So I try to tenant trap every tenant or house trap every tenant so they can't leave. Because the number one killer of cash flow for my clients is vacancy.
Yeah.
And turnover, right?
Yeah.
So if I have no turnover, it's super easy management. People are like, oh, you want to do a unit turn? No one wants to do a unit turn.
Yeah.
No one's ever happy. And, you know, so if they cash flow, they're going to buy another one. That's more important than any unit turn I could ever do for anybody. If you bought another property, that's most important.
And what are you doing for screening? How are you screening these tenants?
Yeah. So what do you guys do? You guys have rentals, right? Still? Or?
Yeah, we use a software called Buildium.
That's exactly our property management software.
Buildium?
Yeah.
And you like it?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people use like, what's the other, Appfolio.
Appfolio,
I think
Yardi.
Buildium is just very user-friendly.
I thought it was user friendly. We were in Yardi for a little bit. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't like Yardi.
What
We're
do you
happy
guys
with Buildium.
require? Okay, obviously, credit check, background check. What do you require income wise?
3 times their monthly rent.
Net or gross?
Net. No, gross. Sorry, gross.
So we require 3 times net,
Yeah.
which is even harder to get. So we're
of course.
raising that bar a little bit because for those who don't know, net's your take home, what you actually bring home in your pocket. I know a lot of property managers are doing 2 times income. If your property manager is doing 2 times income, you need to fire them immediately.
Yeah, that sounds like a red flag to me.
Another issue.
That means 50% of your income is going.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I mean, it's like.
That took you 10 seconds to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, that's honestly, it took us many months to figure that out. With, the one mistake was the mechanicals, right?
Yep.
And the other thing was just being a little lenient because I was self-managing and I was like, I want to get these units filled as fast as possible.
That's the worst mistake you'd be.
And it's like we were putting a lot of work into these units in Clark Fulton, so we needed to justify our capex amounts by charging $1,000 a door in Clark Fulton, right? You know where that's gonna. I mean, it's not gonna work, right? Because these people are making $2,800 a month, maybe $3,000 a month, and a third of that is going to their rent. They might pay a couple months of rent, and then guess what happens? Month 3, month 4.
Yeah. Real quick, what does capex mean for the people that don't know?
Capex is your capital expenditures, so renovations you do on a property.
Large renovations like your kitchens, roofs,
Right.
baths.
Yeah.
Not just I painted the house, like something truly adding value.
Right.
Which helps there too as you get it back on your refi. So if you do those large capex items or capital expenditures, you'll be able to reclaim that on your refi. If
Right.
you're doing a burr method.
Yep.
Also, if you're doing a turnkey, a lot of my clients will also do a cost seg and just write everything down.
Right.
Depreciation, accelerated depreciation kind of situation.
I love your strategy, right? Because my philosophy has always been get in, add value, and get out, right? And that's what you're doing, right? You're buying at a good price. You're I'm sure doing some renovations, and you're getting out.
We spent $2.4 million at Home Depot last year.
It's a beautiful thing, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've already spent $750,000. Like, and you guys will appreciate this because you're local.
Because we're what?
Because you're local.
Oh, local. Okay.
I buy Giant Eagle Home Depot gift cards.
Oh, so you're getting free gas all year
All
long.
the maintenance trucks, my truck, my wife's vehicle, free groceries.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Like we went to Giant Eagle and I'm like, hey, what do you want to get? She's like, steaks. I'm like, all right, let's pick out, $35 a pound steak, whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Some people go with the Amex card too. You get the points on the Amex and you can use those.
We do that as well. So we buy the gift cards with a Chase Business Inc. So 2%.
Yeah, getting the points.
So I always laugh that I make more in cash back rewards than I did teaching.
That is insane,
is
man.
that's real?
That's factual, yes.
Wow.
I mean, if you're spending $2.4 million at Home Depot, right? Home Depot gives me cash back, plus the preferred discount, not just your regular contractor discount, like a managed account discount. And then they give me 2.5. I get the Giant Eagles like 6%, I think it equates to.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get your 2% on your Amex. Makes things a little easier because you can buy things cheaper than anyone.
Yeah.
You get better
Gives you a
deals
huge
than-
advantage.
Yeah, you get better deals than anyone because you bought how many. Like if someone calls you and like, I'll give you 50, and I'm like, hey, I got 49 on it. You're like, Now Steve's gonna close in 2 weeks. Like, fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Which is the nature of it. And then that contractor who's done 20, 30 rentals for me now, like, if I'm like, hey, I need to be at 6.5 here on the labor quote, he's like, okay, that sounds good. All right, Steve. Because I'm not getting into the corner of the room on the rental grade house and be like, dude, you blended your baseboard here with your paint color. It's not me. It's not,
right.
Like, is the click and lock tight? Does all my plumbing work? Does all my electrical work? Like, yeah, you should use a shield and spray. The dudes are spraying the houses in 2-3 hours. Secret hack here for rental stuff. There's white paint right on your ceiling, and you have white trim, right?
Yeah.
You think there's different shades between them? People use a flat white because it's cheaper, but if they got to switch their sprayer out, it takes more time. It slows them down. They got to clean that thing. So I have the same white paint as I do on my trim and my ceiling. I might spend a little bit more on the ceiling paint because it's a nicer paint for the trim, but it is what it is. They can go faster.
Right.
So they blast the baseboards and they blast the ceiling. They move on. And we have the same gray paint for the last 4 years. So unit turns, really easy.
Yeah, we were doing that too. Same gray walls, gray floors, boom.
Boom, done. So that's a big hack that we've done just to try to speed guys up.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I just want to take a step back real quick to when you first got into the moment where you realized that the turnkey rental was your niche. That was what you wanted to do. How did you come to that realization?
So it was kind of weird. I was with this partnership that didn't work out, and we were trying to liquidate a few things just because of the difference of opinions. Mm-hmm. And we met someone that sold our property through someone, and then I ended up meeting that person. And they were doing turnkey rental sales, another like advisor or whatever. So I was like, dude, this is great. You have buyers for this? And they're like, yeah, you sell a really good product. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, and I bought a house to do it, and then they sold it, pre-sold it immediately, right? Like I was like, hey, I'm about a week out. She's like, just send the numbers and like an exterior picture. I was like, okay, cool. Gone. I was like, all right, you keep doing this? She's yeah, all day. So I bought 2 houses. Then I bought 3 houses. Then I bought 4 houses. And then it just expanded. And I wasn't taking any really money from the company because I was still teaching at the time, right, when I was rolling into it. So there was no money being taken out. And then when I had my son, I did an unpaid paternity year. So I kept rolling. I was unpaid, but I was still just had to live off a teacher salary. I still had my rental. So I was like making it work. So everything I was making, I was putting back into the business. So I was able to go from doing 1 to 3 to 10 extremely fast. Like every 3 months, my business was like doubling.
Yeah. And did you have a private money or a hard money lender you were working with on these? They
were charging me 15% interest and 6 points.
Are you serious?
You see his eyes. Who wants to lend to a teacher making 30 grand? Come on. But it's kind of funny. I lend now, and those are my terms.
Yeah.
So I lend at 15 and 6. It's just a bunch of local guys, and usually they're smaller loans. They're 50 to 75K, and no one's touching those. Because you got to remember, like the Fund That Flip, the Renovo, the Wildcats weren't as prevalent then.
What happened to Fund That Flip?
They stiffed me on 320 grand of rehab draws.
Really?
Yeah. When Upright had that freeze, that was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Never paid me back for any of the points they took, and they were charging me full interest on the full amount of money that I couldn't access.
Really?
Yes, I emailed Mr. Rodak himself. No response.
Horrible.
Upright, Fund That Flip. Not a good situation.
Wow.
So they called me the other day. The only reason I brought it, they called me the other day, seeing if I wanted to do more loans with them. I went nuts. I'm real calm.
So is it Upright now?
It's Upright now.
So they switched from Fund That Flip to
Upright.
Yeah.
And then they had a spin-off Casa Lending. So they're all one and the same. But they called me asking if I wanted to do any loans because I did loans in the past with them. I like went nuts. And I've talked to you guys a few times on the phone. I've never yelled. I'm very very calm.
Yeah, very.
Like shit happens. I'm like, shit happens. Like whatever. Like, it is what it is. And I don't. But I just went like 0 to hero.
Yeah, I would too.
Oh man,
I would too.
But he had no idea, and I was like, "You have no idea, do you?" I'm like, sorry, dude. But it was funny. They called me, and I was like, "You guys are still open?" He's like, "Yeah, I just got hired 2 weeks ago." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, good luck.
I did 100+ loans with them.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's a lot of business, especially in a couple of years.
Yeah, it was crazy volume. Jake Barnes, who's awesome, who's at Renovo.
Yeah, Jake
now.
is a good guy.
Yeah, he always does. Actually, I called him on the way up here. He wanted me to tell you hello. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, Jake's a good guy.
Yeah,
man.
he's a good dude. He just moved to Michigan with his to-be wife, Jill. So.
And David, right? Do you know David? What's David's last name?
Sorry,
I don't know.
Dave.
David's. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Him and Jacob are great.
He was the one that hooked me into Fund That Flip in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dave's gonna kill me if he ever watches this. He was the reason I got into Fund That Flip.
Oh, it's gonna bother me. I'll think of it.
Me and Jake actually did a flip up in Vermilion.
Speaking of Vermilion, we got a flip in Vermilion right now.
You want to deal in Vermilion?
Yeah, you want to do another one?
Send it. What do you got? What's the address?
We won't disclose it on the pod, but
I figured by the time it releases,
yeah, it should be funded and closed. But
we did one on 246 Rolland Avenue in Vermilion, right by VOL on the lake there.
David Dugan.
Dugan, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, David.
Not to name drop or anything.
Yeah. Not to name drop, but David Dugan. Yeah,
100%. 100%. Good dude.
This is a good deal in Vermilion, though. We should connect on that after the pod.
I'll connect on it. Jake did all the rehab, though, so I don't know if I have the guys, but Jake wants to come back from Michigan. I'm down to fund it.
Steve, I have a question. What % of your buyers are out of state?
95%.
Right. And I'd imagine they're seeing, holy shit, I can get these kind of returns, right?
Yeah.
And I have a guy to do all the work?
Yeah, and everyone local is like, oh, I can do this myself. I'm just going to do the renovations. You're paying for a service. You're paying for the renovations done, and you're paying it for it to be handled.
Right.
Yes, the house is still appraised. Yes, there's still inspections. We go through the whole 9 yards. But they know they're paying for a premium service. That's what turnkey rentals are.
Right.
It's a service-based business.
And it's true turnkey. There's a lot of guys out here that are like,
turnkey is kind of a gray area nowadays.
Yeah, that's why I always try to say premium turnkey rentals.
Right.
And I explain the basic premise is all your mechanicals have 10 years of life plus. That's the big key.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest way to say it.
I think it's so funny how like we get deals sent to us all the time. I know you do too, Steve. And it's like, oh, this house, it's turnkey, doesn't, maybe 5 to 10K in work, and it's worth $300,000. Meanwhile, it's a fucking condemned duplex in Stockyards. Needs $100,000 worth of work, and it's worth like $50,000.
They're pulling the comp from like the dead-hearted Tremont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like the funniest part.
That's what's so tricky about Cleveland, though, I will say, because this is the market that I got started wholesaling real estate in. And early on, if you don't have the right guidance, especially from someone local to a market like this, our market's so unique, right? It's very street by street. Like you were just 100%. Talking about, like you can go from, the south end of Tremont and you could pull north end of Tremont comps and you can be miles off of your ARV and your numbers, right? So it's very tricky in this market.
Similar to Akron, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I was just saying, Akron's the same way. I was like, what zip code? I'm like, well, like the west side of this zip code, and then I do the north side of this zip code.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they sent me a house. Like, you said you buy in that zip code. I'm like, not over by Summit Lake, I don't.
Yeah.
I want to have all my rims when I leave.
Yeah, my wife and I, we live in Strongsville now, but we were in Ohio City, and we lived on Bailey. So if you're familiar with Bailey, it's those new Knez homes.
Oh, yeah.
Like right on the edge of Ohio City, right? And our backyard was Clark Fulton.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, yeah, we're in Ohio City, but our backyard is,
right by the train tracks there, right?
Exactly.
I know which nice ones you're talking about. Those are really nice, but I always wonder when I drove by there, I was like, you are right on the edge.
Well, we were there for 2 years, and we're like, I remember I was like riding our Peloton in the basement, and then you just hear gunshots.
Clark Fulton's your backyard.
Yeah, and it's just like, all right, we're moving. We're going to Strongsville. We're not built for this.
It's like the Wild West, man.
Hey, at least they installed them with, I heard they did bulletproof glass. Is that true, or is that?
No one ever shot through my window, so I'm not sure. I'm sure it would have happened if we stayed there.
Have you ever had a house get shot up?
Yeah, so I had around that. So when we were living there at Bailey, I had a house on Bradwell, right by the zoo over there.
Oh, that's even better.
And man, the house got shot up, and the craziest part, actually, this is how it went. I was collecting rent at the time. I was driving around collecting rent from all these people before we had Buildium, and I showed
cash only, motherfuckers.
Yeah. And man, I showed up. I was with my wife Deanna, and we showed up to the house, and there were just bullet holes everywhere in the house. And I had a mom with her 3 kids living there. I had a mom with her 3 kids living there, and we called the cops, and we were waiting there for like 3 hours. They never showed up, and they literally called me back, and they're like, "Hey, we have higher priorities right now." And I'm like, "My house is shot up. I have tenants in here. A mom with her 3 daughters. She's not answering. What's higher priority than this? Like someone who's already dead? You don't even need the cops. You call the coroner."
Oh man,
yeah, they never showed up, and. The good part of the story is she was out of town, and she was completely fine. Her kids were fine. They weren't home, but still, it's like It's insane. And honestly, Steve, that was around the time where I was like, again, self-managing is like, I want to live a quality life.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of this, right? And I know we could have, got a property management company in place. But I felt at the time no one else would manage my properties as good as I could manage them.
No one is.
Except for Akron Turnkey.
Listen, we try our hardest, but no one else is going to answer the phone at midnight. Like, you'll answer your phone at midnight for your own rental, but none of the employees are waking up and answering the phone at midnight.
So I just was like, this is, to me, I was like, I'm getting out of this. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And I think Cleveland, there's a lot of issues right now in Cleveland.
I heard Mayor Bibb is really making great changes for landlords.
Yeah.
Is that true, or?
It's kind of the opposite, I think, from what I've heard.
I think there's a little sarcasm in that.
Yeah.
I guess they're fining you $100 a day if you don't have your house registered.
Rental registration and lead certificate. Yeah.
That's where's the money going? Does he have a personal fund for that, or what is this? For
I think it funds his condo. Maybe.
Where's his condo?
I heard he lives in the Lumen. I think. I don't know though.
Where is the Lumen?
It's like, you know what? I'm fine doing this, but if I need a fucking cop to show up for something, like fucking show up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean that's what's crazy to me, and I don't want to get into all this stuff, but then you get the whole defund the police thing, right? And it's like then you're making calls to 911 and no one shows up, and everyone wonders why.
So, okay, I got a question for you guys. You guys are more in tune with Cleveland. So this $100 a day fine, the rental registrations, the lead fine, all this stuff. Where should they capturing all this cash, right? Cash grab, because Cleveland got really hot. It's a huge cash grab. So where do you think the cash should be going to help better
fixing all the fucking potholes around the city? We'll start there.
You need a whole new infrastructure. But okay, good start.
Yeah. I mean,
outside your building was rough. I was like, I got a truck.
Yeah, I mean, fixing the streets up obviously is a big one. There's potholes everywhere. I would say maybe just cleaning up some of the city, like a lot of East Cleveland. So many houses need just torn down. They're collapsing, like really collapsing. They're too far gone. And
So take the Cleveland money and go help out East Cleveland.
Yeah, well,
like a little brother situation.
It's not even East Cleveland though. It's like it's a lot of just the east side of Cleveland. In general, the east side of Cleveland needs it. I know East Cleveland is going through it. Something with the mayor. There was some whole scheme with I don't know where the money was going in East Cleveland, but clearly
There's money in East Cleveland.
Yeah, I guess there was, but not anymore.
Where do you think it should go?
I think tearing down dilapidated houses was a great statement. Infrastructural stuff, so probably additional lighting. Streets are always positive because just driving down the street, if you have a better runway, that always just makes everyone feel better. It would probably actually increase rents or the ability to increase rents if the streets were nicer.
Oh, yeah.
So for the low rents in Cleveland, I think Mayor Bibb might be the issue. I've never met Mayor Bibb. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think tearing down dilapidated houses, and then if you tear down enough of them, you can build enough in an area to help bring it up.
Right.
But you also need a draw for people to want to live there, right?
15-year tax abatement. That's what got us.
That's what got you guys.
It's like, all right, we're not paying property tax, but I can't take a walk after 10 p.m. Let's get out of here.
It's a little late, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially when half the year it gets dark at like 3 p.m. here.
Yeah. Cleveland, you're like 5 o'clock. You're like, it's dark outside, kids. Gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so the wholesaling business. How do you guys have it set up? Who's in charge of what?
Yeah.
How's the breakdown going?
Yeah. So traditionally, we're actually making some pretty big changes right now within the business. So we were super heavy on outbound, cold calling, texting. We do have a lot of inbound channels too, but we were the heaviest with outbound. At this point, we're making a shift to go more digital with Facebook, PPC. We're going to start targeting a lot more markets across the country. Okay. We're still going to keep a lot of our legacy marketing that we do here in Cleveland inbound wise, but we're just cutting the outbound approach. It's just getting, with some of the regulations coming in, to do it on a big scale, on the scale that we were doing it on, it just makes it more and more challenging. And especially for our team, right? Like it's one thing if you're a 1 or 2 man show and you want to cold call and find deals. I think that's fantastic. It's very cost effective and it works.
Yeah, because you can be really personal on every call.
Yeah, course, absolutely. Yeah. But when you're doing it the way we had it set up, we have 5 full-time VA callers who are constantly calling hundreds of thousands of records and pushing leads over to our team. I mean, there were days where we could see 30 to 40 cold call leads a day sometimes on a good day, right?
And how many of those were good on those?
Well, that's the thing. Our closing rate was like just over 100 to 1. So you got to go through a lot of leads to get to that one, right? To that one deal.
you're saying leads.
Leads.
So once you
Correct.
call however many people and you got those 30 leads, out of those 30, so it would take you 2 weeks to get 2 actually good closings.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, depending on the lead volume, it's always different. But for us, it was like, you know, the manpower that you have to be able to, for one, sustain 100 conversations that are difficult conversations with people that really don't want to sell, but they'll maybe, hey, I'll hear an offer. What are you going to offer me? So they're difficult conversations, right? With PPC and Facebook. Yeah, it's more expensive, but for us in the direction that we're trying to grow, it just makes sense, right? Just to talk to more qualified leads and
more
get
aggressive
with a smaller team. I mean, to piggyback off that is like, you know, we always said we don't want to run $1 million business. We want to run a $10 million business, right? And more. And I think the way for us to do that is you need to scale, right? And for us to scale, the quickest, the most effective way to get there is to kind of go national, right? And we'll get to that on later episodes, but we're going from this traditional, you know, mix of inbound, outbound strategy where you have to buy data per county. So it's like, if we want to go into 20 other counties, you got to buy, you know, data in 20 other counties. So now kind of shifting, like Anthony said, to a more inbound approach, the lead quality is significantly better. You need significantly less leads. You're closing, you know, every 10 to 15 leads that you get, you're closing one.
Well, plus on the marketing side, if you're casting a wider net, your cost per lead's also less.
100%.
Yeah.
When you're trying to get really, really narrow, Google and Facebook charge you a ton extra to be in that little. If I just want to market to Akron, my cost to market to Akron would be outrageous.
It's a really tough strategy to do in one market. The way PPC really makes sense is to open it up and to really be able to get into higher populated areas and spread it out.
We're also going to start doing some more innovations. So I think we talk about scaling and growing, and I think another way to do that is, you know, expanding our exit strategies, right? So before we were we're strictly cash deals, wholesale deals, right? Now we're rolling out
with some flips and double closes.
Yeah, of course.
Mixed in
We were
there.
taking down properties, flipping them. And,
Yeah, I know you guys are flipping stuff.
But I think, you know, novations are great too, and that's kind of next phase for us.
Novations are definitely a experienced level strategy, though. I definitely would not recommend, if you're just looking to get into real estate, your first deal should absolutely not be a novation.
There's a lot of red tape to that and finesse with the seller.
But it's not even, I don't even want to call it finesse. I want to call it transparency, because at the end of the day, a lot of the times what's happening is you're marketing the property on the MLS. So if you're not transparent with that, you can imagine, right? You enter an agreement with someone and all of a sudden they see their house on Zillow and on Redfin and they're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
right?
you have to be
You
transparent.
have to be transparent about the whole process.
But it's also a fine line, right? You're 100% transparent, but it's all about your script and your approach. And once you explain, like, hey, we're going to list this property on the market on your behalf, right? But that alleviates all the traditional headaches of listing with an agent, right? You're not going to have to coordinate showings, walkthroughs. You're not going to pay closing costs. Like, if there's repairs that come up, we already bake that into our deal. We'll take care of the repairs or we'll offer a credit, right?
But we also don't want to sell it to, like, hey, you should use us over a realtor. It's, hey, why don't you list your house with a realtor? And we'll let them sell us on, hey, well, this is why I don't want to do that. Or if you do, hey, that's probably your best option. If you have the time, you have the resources, you don't mind sitting and waiting, then you should probably do that. We'll take that consultation type of approach, unless they come to us and say, hey, well, I just don't have the time to deal with it. I don't know. My property still needs some work. We can get creative with novations. And if we have to help a property qualify for an FHA loan, we can give credits on conventional loans. We always bake in enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is knowing that you're not just listing and taking the cash. Like, you're maybe you're going to clean out the property.
Right.
Maybe you're going to just, hey, I'm going to clean it and paint it real quick. It'll look real nice.
Yeah.
Right.
It depends how confident
Just got to get creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How confident you are in your numbers, obviously. But I always thought, if I was going to go back into it, I would focus more on the wholesaling side, the quick flips in the sense of, like, buy it, clean it out, relist it, the novations. Now I'm so deep in what I do, there's no changing. But still a great strategy, I think.
Yeah. What's your experience with, have you done wholesale deals before?
I've wholesaled 2 properties in my life.
How did you find them?
I was handwriting letters back when I was, like, 2015, still teaching.
Those are personally handwritten by you.
Yeah.
All right. I love that.
It's a lot of letters, I'd imagine.
I was writing a lot of letters. But I thought this was great. Handwrite the letters, sign up wholesaling 2 deals. I was really just, I found the deal and someone else dispoed it. So I wasn't even making the full clip.
So you JV'd it with someone else. They sold it and
Yeah, I was working with local real estate at the time. That's where I got my real estate license at.
Is it Adam Ziegler and those guys, Travis?
Yeah, it's just I think just Travis and Kayla own it now.
Yeah.
Adam went off into his own venture or whatever happened there. I don't know. But yeah, so I thought it was weird. There was a 10K assignment. Feels like, oh great, I'm gonna get half. No, I got $3,000.
Did you have a JV agreement in place, or you just brought him the deal and connected him with the seller? How was it structured?
I was a real estate agent there.
Okay.
So it was just like, at the time, it was kind of new when they were doing it. So they didn't really have like a set fee structure. But apparently it was a third, I found out later on. Third to the company, a third to the person who found the buyer, and a third to the person who got the deal.
I see.
So after making, at the time, I was like, oh, I made a lot of money. But it was like a whole coaching check.
Right.
In my mind. So
Yeah.
like, I used it for renovations on my stuff. But looking back, all the time I spent, I could have just got hired at McDonald's.
Yeah.
I got myself a job as what
But you learned. I'm sure you learned a little.
I talked to a ton of sellers, which was cool.
Yeah.
And just phone conversations. And then I used to do a lot of cold calling on Reonomy, I think it's called.
Yeah, Reonomy. I know Reonomy.
Yeah, so it was a multifamily commercial land-based situation.
Yeah.
I would just like literally go down the street in Akron and click stuff. I just call people, click it, call it, click it. And I ended up buying some deals off of it, formed some relationships. People called me back later and sold me other things. I never bought the big whales I was clicking on, but they did sell me little like single families.
I think it's important to, because you learned a lot in that point, right? So it's like, even for us as we transition into this PPC model, those leads are a lot more expensive, right? So you really have to have your sales process, which by the way, it's a totally different sales process. But I feel like the last couple of years, we got a ton of reps in with our team here. And now we feel fully confident that it's like rolling out this PPC model where you're spending $200 to $300 a lead, right?
Yeah.
Is we know we're going to be able to close 1 in 10.
So that's why I don't even get into it, because I'd have to create a whole new business to do it.
Right.
Well,
there's so many.
We
moving
said
parts.
it yesterday. It's sales and marketing. Wholesaling is sales and marketing. It has nothing to do with real estate. I mean, yeah, you need to understand your number. You need to be able to look at deals in the lens of an investor and who you're selling to.
But that's sales. You're looking at it from a customer
Exactly.
Sales, marketing, you're tracking KPIs, you're rolling out good SOPs, right? You're holding everyone accountable, and it's like, again, it's just like we got a lot of those reps in through the cold call and the SMS.
And those are a little cheaper reps to take.
They're cheaper reps, and with those people, it's it's just harder conversations, right? Because you're asking what they want for it, and they're like, "Well, you called me, you texted me, give me an offer." Versus, the opposite, the inbound approach is like, "Hey, you filled out a form, tell me what you want for your house," right? And then they show that first card, and the conversation, it's higher intent, just flows a lot better.
Yeah, it's way easier to have that conversation because they're calling you than you calling them.
Right.
And you got to have that high level closer. I don't know if you guys were closing the leads when you were calling outbound or whatnot, but it was definitely a situation where you can't just be a filler.
Right.
You have to have some motivation to get those people to sell.
For sure.
And a lot of finesse into it, I think, personally. So I think that was a big deal. But yes, this is strictly why I just buy off of wholesalers. And I started doing a lot more MLS. I hired someone as you guys know, I hired an additional person to help me walk properties. Because a lot of times, if I didn't think it was a deal, I wouldn't even go walk it. Now, if it's like teetering on the edge, I'll send them to go walk it. Which is kind of helpful.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? You make enough offers, even if your offer is much lower than what they're asking. If 1 in 10 of them stick, that's an extra deal.
We picked up 3 off the MLS in the past week and a half, and he's been focusing really hard on the MLS.
Wow,
that's great.
And I mean, it's just calling, talking to the realtor, and we've even chased some expired ones. He was like, I'm just gonna look it up. Clicked on it, looked it up, called the person, Facebooked him, picked it up. Because I was like, we were kind of close on our offer, but they rejected it. But she had those 6% commission in between, right?
Yeah.
He's like, this just went expired. Let me hit him up. And she found him on Facebook, and it closes next week. Title's clean, ready to go, right? Which is wild. If I didn't have that person, the 4 deals he found in the past week and a half paid for it.
I'd imagine 1 deal a year makes it worth having someone else on the team, right? If you can do an extra couple, 1 or 2, like handful.
Yeah, handful of deals
Right,
will cover it, make it even. If he's finding a couple deals a month, then it's profitable.
Yeah.
Which is what you want. I just don't want to have bodies to have bodies.
Right.
As
And
much as I love 'em.
that's the other, that's what we always say too, is like, there's nothing sexy about running a team of 20, 30 people, right? What's sexy, right, is running an efficient team with a small group of people and your people are making a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. You want to incentivize them, and if they're doing what you need to, you should be able to, because you should be profitable. And it was kind of funny. I had someone in my office this morning, and they're like, man, you really need an HR person. I was like, I never wanted to have employees, man.
Yeah.
He looked at me and was like,
Well, your team is how many people on the team?
W-2 employees. I think I probably have like 25.
Yeah.
Between all the different companies we
Yeah,
run. And then obviously subs. I mean, subs for days. I think we're running 19 interior rehab crews right now. And then we have a roofing crews, siding crews, window crews. We have 2 basement foundation crews. That's all they do is basement foundations.
Wow.
I got 2 furnace guys that they just do furnaces. And then actually I have an electrician. He just stopped taking customers. He's like, Steve, I'm just going to do work for you every day. He's like, you just pay me and here's my rate.
That's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, so I'm paying him like $3,000 a week, and he's covering materials, and he's probably making $2,000 a week. And he's like, there's no issues. Your houses are vacant. I have no homeowner. He's like, I've never once had a payment issue. I do the work, it's completed, and you pay me. It's really simple.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
Right. I was like,
You know?
I pay for completions. I pay for done stuff. Because someone's like, man, you pay tons of people like all this money. And I'm like, yeah, but if I pay them, it's done.
Right.
Like a W-2 employee, they could. For example, I hired a maintenance guy last week. Went to a property. He had 3 items to do at the property. 9 hours later, the dude shows up at Home Depot to buy his materials at 4:00 that afternoon. I'm like, what? You want to hear his task?
Yes.
I had an attic that had insulation in it that there was raccoon poop in. We needed to remove the raccoon poop in the insulation. He was a skinny guy. He'd have been fine. I said, buy a suit, buy a mask, buy gloves. We had to put in a washer box with the hookups, for a washer.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to reconnect a like the slinky duct run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fell out. Just needed to zip
Yeah.
back up. Those 3 items. I'm not a proficient person in any kind of construction, but I at least know I could have knocked out 2. Hands down within 4 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
For sure.
I forgot. He had to put bleach after he took out and cleaned the infested.
Yeah.
So maybe 5 hours. I mean, right? Am I crazy? You think he could have done it?
It's adding up to me. It's adding up to me.
So he couldn't figure out why I let him go the next morning. He really had trouble understanding. And I still paid him. I actually overpaid him because I miscalculated his hourly rate that I gave him. I forgot what I gave him, and I actually overpaid him. So he probably was walking out double confused.
Right.
He got overpaid by like $50.
And I got fired.
Yeah. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's like,
This Steve guy's an interesting fucking guy, man.
who fires someone and then overpays them? I try to be fair.
Here's your get lost bonus.
Here's your $50. Go get a drink.
Yeah.
So this was awesome, man. To kind of wrap it up,
Yeah.
I always like to ask, what's like your one piece of advice? And I know it's kind of a loaded question, but for those listening, what's that one piece of advice that you could give on, how to kind of level up in your life and get started, specific to real estate, start getting invested and making some moves out of the typical 9 to 5?
Yeah. So everyone sees all the sexy stuff. They see the people on a podcast. They see Steve did this. But they don't see us all the things that you do when no one's watching. So always be doing an activity to improve yourself, or an activity that's going to help you get to that next level all the time.
An action.
Action all the time. Action, 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 action. Whether you're handwriting those letters on the kitchen table at night, whether you're going to that local meetup and maybe you feel insecure because you don't have a deal, you don't have any experience, but you're talking to people that do. You're going to catch some residual off of something. You're going to pick up something at that event.
Shoot those shots and put yourself in the position to be lucky, because it's going to happen soon enough.
Eventually, you have to show up to get lucky, right? But if you show up every day, are you really getting lucky? Or
Right.
just putting in the work.
I love that.
Well said.
Thanks.
Well said.
Very well said.
Steve, how can the people find you on social?
At Steve Yoak on Instagram.
Yoke, not Yoke. Steve Yoke.
Or Steve Yoked.
Steve Yoked.
Hey, I did work out this morning. I was feeling pretty buff. It's Y-O-A-K, so Steve and then Y-O-A-K. And then you can also find us at akronturnkey.com. If you're looking for any turnkey rentals, we can connect on there as well. We can do a consulting call if you're looking for something and just kind of make sure it's a good fit, hook you up with lenders, inspectors, property management, obviously, and just see what kind of areas you're looking for if you have ideas of what you want, and make sure it's a good fit for you.
Amen. Well, we'll wrap it up at that. As always, everyone, please like, comment, and subscribe. We want to be really active in the comments, so please ask questions. We'll be getting to them in future episodes, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Steve, thanks, brother.
Thanks, guys.
That was fun.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you.
All right.